Eutrophication is the most important water pollution process in lakes, ponds, rivers, and reservoirs. This process is caused by the excess of nutrients in the water, mainly nitrogen and phosphorus, coming basically from human activity. Eutrophication is an enrichment of water by nutrient salt that causes structural changes to the ecosystem, such as increased production of algae and aquatic plants, repletion of fish species, and general deterioration of water quality and other effects that reduce and preclude use. Eutrophic events have increased because of the rapid rise in intensive agricultural practices, industrial activities, and population growth. These three processes emit large amounts of nitrogen and phosphorus. These nutrients enter our air, soil, and water.
Human activities have emitted nearly twice as much nitrogen and 3 times as much phosphorus as natural emissions. Different regions of the world emit different levels of these nutrients. In developed countries, such as the United States and nations in the European Union, heavy use of animal manure and commercial fertilizers in agriculture are the main contributors to eutrophication. Runoff from large agriculture fields enter creeks and bays because of the rain of irrigation practice. In developed countries of Latin America, Asia, and Africa, untreated wastewater from sewage and industry mainly contribute to eutrophication. Factories and sewage facilities are less regulated than they are in developed countries, and sometimes wastewater is simply dumped into creeks, rivers, lakes, or the ocean.
Atmospheric sources of nitrogen also contribute to eutrophication in some areas of the world. Fossil fuels and fertilizers release nitrogen into the atmosphere. This atmospheric nitrogen is then redeposited on land and water through the water cycle, rain, and snow. The Chesapeake on the east coast of the United States has one of the first dead zones ever identified in the 1970s. The Chesapeake high levels of nitrogen are caused by two factors: urbanization and agriculture. The western part of the bay is full of factories and urban centers that emit nitrogen into the air. Atmospheric nitrogen accounts for about a third of the nitrogen that enters the bay. The eastern part of the bay is a center of poultry farming, which produces large amounts of manure. Since 1967, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation has led a number of programs that aim to improve the bay's water quality and curb pollution runoff. The Chesapeake still has a dead zone whose size varies with the season and weather.
The presence in air of pollutants, especially those derived from nitrogen and sulfur, causes them to be washed away during the rains. This phenomenon is called acid rain. This rain falls in areas of water deposits such as lakes, rivers, and lagoons, pollutes the water with these eutrophing agents, causing the problems of ecological imbalance that we have already mentioned. One example would be an algal bloom, or with increase of phytoplankton in a pond, lake, river, or coastal zone as a response to increased levels of nutrients. Eutrophication is often induced by the discharge of nitrate or phosphate containing detergents, fertilizers, or sewage into an aquatic system.
Now, I will say some of the consequences of the eutrophication. The first one is one of the mortality of the fish and the ecosystem species. That can cause bad smells, visual impact, water toxicity, and drinking water problems. Another consequence that is very important and very dangerous is the decreases dissolved oxygens, which can kill many aquatic life.